Hi everyone, this is Dale C. Washington of Greater Works, Prophetic Ministry, and Raw. I am back with a very quick prophetic dream that I want to share with you all. So I want to start by saying it is Friday night, March 27th of 2026. It is 11 o'clock p.m. and I'm going to be sharing my daughter's prophetic dream about world leaders with you all on tonight. If there's anyone listening who has not been following this channel and this ministry for quite some time, you may not have heard me say on previous videos that this is my daughter is very much a prophetic dreamer, the same as I am, okay? And a lot of her dreams are probably more accurate than some of the prophetic dreams that I receive from the Lord. So I want to share that with you all on tonight. The title that the Lord gave me when I was seeking Him about my daughter's prophetic dream, the title is 10 Kings. Okay, my daughter believes that she received this dream from the Lord on January 13th of 2026. I want to share with you all what preceded and what was happening right before my daughter had the dream on January 13th. So if any of you have seen the previous video that I did and the prophetic dream I shared called A Time of War, that was a word from the Lord. I did that on January 18th. I recorded it, started recording. It was uploaded on the 19th. I received that prophetic dream from the Lord January 5th. So sometime after January 5th, probably around, my daughter thinks it was January 12th, when I was reading some scriptures and preparing for the message, A Time of War. As I was reading the book of Revelations, chapter 17, I also read that. And I shared what I read in Revelation 17 with my daughter at that time. Prior to January 13th, I shared that with her because something that I read really stood out to me, and it reminded me of a few things that's happening now on the world stage, I should say. Okay, so when I was preparing for A Time of War, my study scriptures that I mentioned in that video was Daniel 11, Daniel 7, Revelations 13, and Revelations 19, verse 19. But I also found myself glossing over Revelation 17, chapter 17. Okay, so I'm gonna show you all what I mentioned to my daughter. And again, this was prior to her dream about the world leaders. Okay, so the pink part that's highlighted at the bottom where the 5 is, well, I'm going to start reading right above that. I'm going to start reading, this is Revelation 17. I'm going to start at verse 12. It says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast." Right under verse 12 says, "The 10 kings will agree to give their kingdom to the Antichrist, but continue as kings under him and will fight against Christ at Armageddon." So that is what I mentioned to my daughter. My daughter believes that I had this conversation with her on January 12th, the day before she had her dream. I mentioned to her about how the 10 kings, there would be 10 kings that would give their power to the Antichrist, but you know, it's like they were going to be in power, but then they were going to give their power over to him. Let me read that again. "The 10 kings will agree to give their kingdom to the Antichrist, but continue as kings under him and will fight against Christ. Okay, so they agreed to give their kingdom, and but they will continue as kings under him. That is what I said to my daughter. That stood out to me. It's just a few people popped in my mind when I read that, okay? So I'm going to read verse 13. It says, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called the chosen and faithful. Okay, so while I'm sharing my daughter's dream, I'm going to read the dream in a minute about the 10 kings, and I'm going to read scriptures about the 10 kings and their interaction and them, coming into agreement and all of that. Where it says up here in verse 12, 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet. On the side notes up there, it says no kingdom, meaning they received no kingdom in John's day, but will receive kingdoms when the 10 are formed, or when the 10 are formed inside the Roman Empire territory in the last days. The kings will rule for 3.5 years, independent of Antichrist, and then give their power to him the last 3.5 years of this age. So that it all sounds like they have already, from the scriptures, they're going to first agree to do all of this, and they're going to be in power for 3.5 years, and then they're going to, it's like they've already agreed to turn over everything to the Antichrist. They've already, seems like they agree first, but then they're going to stay in position, and they're going to continue as kings under him, okay? They're going to continue as kings under him. Like, okay. Anyway, it's kind of hard to explain. But the scriptures, I'm going to read the scriptures and kind of clear some of that up. So I want to enlarge this before I read the dream. I want to read, this caught my eye at the last minute, up here where it says, right above verse 16. It says, the 10 kings and the Antichrist turn on the whore in the middle of Daniel's 70th week, so the beast can be worshipped the last 3.5 years. They're going to turn on the whore. I believe they're going to turn on the whore, which is, I believe that's referring to Babylon. Okay. Verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Verse 17, for God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And it says under that, the great whore is a city that has a kingdom reigning over the 10 kings. All right. Okay. So, all right. So, again, what preceded the dream? I'm getting ready to share the dream. What preceded the dream was right under verse 12, where it says, the 10 kings will agree to give their kingdom to the Antichrist, but continue as kings under him, and will fight against Christ at Armageddon. That was all I said to my daughter. I didn't go into all the other scriptures or any of that. And I kind of told her it was reminding me of some things happening now, and it stood out to me. So here is the dream. Here's my daughter's dream. And it says, she said, I was in a meeting room where a meeting was being held. It seemed very important, and there were about 10 people in the room. They were all men and world leaders from different countries. It was like I was in the room too, but they didn't notice, like I was invisible. They seemed to be doing some type of planning and maybe negotiating to all to and negotiating to all come to an agreement. Let me read that again. Okay, I messed that up. They seem to be doing some type of planning and maybe negotiating to all come to an agreement on something. I don't remember what. I don't remember faces, but I know most of them looked white or had pale skin. And then she included some notes at the end of the dream, because that was the end, but she included some other details. Excuse me. There was a table in the room and some men were standing at the table. A couple may have been sitting at the table and others were standing further from the table. By the end of the dream, I think they were all standing around the table. And she said in parentheses, it was a round table. The room had a dark gray interior. So she let me know that the walls were gray and it appeared that the floors may have been gray as well. So the room had a dark gray interior and the table was dark brown and wooden. It was a round table literally, and it was figuratively a round table. All right, so that completes her short dream about the world leaders. And when she writes her dreams out, she always gives her dreams a title. The title that she gave her dream was Kings. Again, I said that I had to seek the Lord about the dream. And, what was he showing? And I had to seek him for a title. And the title the Lord gave me was 10 Kings. Okay? 10 Kings. So as, let me see what I want to share next. Let me read some more scriptures. I want to read a few more things about the 10 kings. So it says the little horn, the part with the pink lines. It says the yellow up front, the yellow highlighted part. 10 proofs, toes and horns, the same rather. The little horn of Daniel 7. Verse 7 through 8, 19 through 24, and the beast of Revelation 17, 9 through 17 are the same and will arise after the 10 kings and from among them. They will become subject to the same man at the same time. I'm going to skip down They will give their power to the same man for the same length of time. I'm going to skip down to the very bottom. Antichrist will come out of the 10 kingdoms and overthrow 3 of them. The others will submit to him, thus forming the 8th kingdom. They gave the scriptures for that. It will be defeated by Christ at his second advent. This will end the times of the Gentiles. Okay, this will end. So I'm going to point something out about the end. The end. This will end the time of the Gentiles, and I'll tell you where I'm going to connect that with the word wooden, the wooden table. Okay, wood end. Okay, the end of something. All right. So let me see what I have next. I want to read the yellow highlighted part. 10 horns, 10 kings of the 10 kingdoms, making the 5th world empire of Daniel and the 7th of Revelation 17, 8 through 17, revised Rome, Daniel chapter 2, verse 41. Verse 24 here says, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. Okay, the name of this prophetic dream that my daughter had is 10 kings. All right, 10 kings that shall arise. Another after the 10 horns, another after the 10 horns, the little horn, the Antichrist, the king of the sixth kingdom in Daniel, and the eighth of Revelation 17, verse 8 through 11, revived Grecia. Okay, then it gave some more scriptures. The last highlighted part in yellow is what I'm going to read here. And another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. This is right here, Revelations 19 and 19, which is one of the scriptures I shared when I did the video and the prophetic dream, A Time of War. I read Revelations 19, verse 19, that says, and I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Okay, I don't have time to do a recap of the things that I said in A Time of War. If you have not seen A Time of War, I encourage you to go and take a look at that short video. It's only about 10 minutes long, okay? Now, as I was seeking the Lord concerning my daughter's dream, one of the first words that came to me was the word cabal. All right, the word cabal. I'm going to be talking to you all about that table, that dark brown wooden table. Okay, so, but first, let me, I know most of you know what a cabal is. I heard that word, and I've heard it before, and I had to go look it up. So it is a small, secretive group of people, often politicians, who plot to advance private interests or seize power through intrigue. Usage often describes secret plots. A cabal is also a group acting together for a private, often sinister purpose. So the round table in this dream is representative of a cabal. Okay, that is one of the interpretations. That is what that round table is representing. Remember, my daughter wrote the dream out. She said it was literally a round table and figuratively a round table, meaning they were definitely having this meeting and this get together and coming in agreement around an actual round table, but that's what it's called. The talk is called round table, okay? Literally and figuratively. Okay. So I want to tell y'all something about what this dark brown wooden round table represents, okay? The description of the room, also the description of the room in my daughter's dream. She said it had a dark gray interior and the walls were gray, and she does believe the floors were probably gray as well. So the description of the room, and I'm at my conclusion, I'm almost done. The description of the room and also the dark brown wooden round table are all coded and hold the identity of the little horn that will arise after the 10 kings and from among them. Did y'all understand what I just said? I'm going to say it again. The description of the room and also of that dark brown wooden round table, it's all coded and holds the identity of the little horn, which is the Antichrist, that will arise after the 10 kings and from among them. I don't know what my other picture is. There's another picture. Okay, of a dark brown wooden round table. Okay, so listen to these words. Gray walls. Gray. Okay, what does gray rhyme with? Y'all know what gray rhymes with. Gray. We're talking about the Antichrist, okay? Gray rhymes with Gay. Walls, tall. Okay? Wall tall, okay? Gray walls. I'm just going to throw out a few matching interpretations. I'm not going to cover everything extensively because I'm going to keep this video short. Okay, let's look at the dark brown wooden round table. Okay, wood in. Okay, remember I mentioned that scripture that talked about the end of the Gentiles. Well, this description and what this dark brown wooden table, it represents the end of quite a few things. Okay, wood end, like something will come to an end, like something will be burned in the fire like wood. Okay, that's the end of the Antichrist. I believe he's going to be in the lake of fire burning like wood. There's the word wood. That's wood and the word in, wooden. Okay, wooden. Dark. Let's look at the word dark. Dark as in evil here. Okay, that's what dark is representing here. The dark brown wooden, that word dark is representing evil. And it also can be inclusive of representing tall, dark, and handsome. Okay, we're talking about, I'm throwing a few and connecting interpretations out there for this table. Okay, let's look at the word brown. In this instance, in this dream, brown could be interpretive of a person's complexion. Okay, so there's a lot of brown people in the world. Okay. We have some black people who are brown, in the brown category. As far as complexion wise, we come in all complexions, and then we have some Middle Eastern people who are brown complected, but we got a lot of black folks that's brown complected too, right? All complexions. Okay, so that's dark as in evil, or tall, dark, and handsome. Brown could be complexion. Round table is interpreted as, it has several interpretations. I'm only going to give you a few. The round table is interpretive of the underground cabal, which is also part of the UN. Okay, an underground cabal, part of the UN. All right. So that is what's going on with that dark brown wooden round table. And this is all taking place in a room with dark gray walls. Okay, I forgot. It wasn't just gray walls, but it was dark gray walls. That's a description of the little horn as well. So not only is this dream showing the 10 kings, and the 10 world leaders, it is also has encoded in the description of the table in the room the identity of the little horn, which is the Antichrist. Okay, which is the Antichrist. So please check out the video A Time of War if you haven't seen that yet, on this platform. Okay, and that is all I want to share with you guys tonight. Okay, again, this is my daughter's prophetic dream that she had about the world leaders, after I discussed Revelations chapter 17 with her about the 10 kings agreeing to give over their kingdoms and their power to the Antichrist. So you guys can study all of that if you like to. And I am going to say good night. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.